What's up, Bills fans? I was planning on doing a video yesterday. Ran into some cam problems, had to reinstall, and kind of, you know, ominous that I didn't, because it seems like every time that happens to me, something happens the next day, and this time, and there's been others that the news was not that good, and today, the news on Eric Wood was not good at all. Very strange situation where at the time a rumor had surfaced, obviously on Twitter, as most of these things tend to happen these days, and it just spread like wildfire. People on the radio, people that cover the Bills scrambling to try to first find out if it was real, seem to have done that. Several of them did. Couldn't identify the player, just that a press conference might have been held. Is it by the players? Is it by just a lot of strange news around this whole situation. And then I think it was getting to an untenable situation, and it finally ended up coming to pass where I probably think Eric saw that, you know what, this is putting a lot of strain on the organization. It's a Friday. This isn't going to last over the weekend. It just finally got it out there. The outlet that originally reported that there was an unnamed Bills offensive starter then ID'd Eric Wood, and then several other media people confirmed it. And then Eric himself, pretty shortly thereafter, along with the Bills organization, confirmed that he indeed is going to have to retire due to a neck injury due to wear and tear, something that was aggravated in the Jags game. And it's very bittersweet that his last game in a Bills uniform will have been a playoff game, and that's a silver lining. There's always going to be that picture of him and Kyle in the locker room, arm in arm, finally happy that they have stood out this horrible run of drudgery along with us fans. Kyle, Eric, Fred, Brian Moorman, guys like that, probably the four Mount Rushmore of the drought, really, in my opinion. Moorman had a few different stays with the Bills. Even when Fred left, he really never left in most of the fan base's minds and hearts. Kyle's still there. Maybe he comes back. And, Eric, another mainstay who, started off his career with a lot of injury, suffered an unfortunate leg break in Jacksonville, crazy enough, in his rookie year, and missed the last 7 games of the season. And here we are, 9-10 years later, and it ends there too. So it's crazy. It's crazy. And I'll just say this about the situation in that game, that there was, and it was pointed out on Twitter a lot during the game, that there was a lot of headhunting going on in that game. Tyrod took a lot of head hits. They seemed like the head was being targeted a lot of times. There was a few instances in the secondary. We saw them, Barry Church go at Gronkowski. So it seems like that's a thing that they do. And maybe some things were happening on the line that weren't kosher. Might explain the dust up between Richie Incognito and Yannick and Joke. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm not create a straw man or anything like that. But yeah, it sucks for him, because it seems like the team is on the uptick legitimately. The organization collectively is headed in the right path finally, and he has to hang it up. Just had a son. Yeah. Well, I mean, Granted, people say, he's made a lot of money, and still, it's just, I'm sure he felt like he had a couple of good years left in him. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. And it's unfortunate that he, he did sign a contract extension for 2 years, and he's not going to get to live that contract out in a Bills uniform. And on Monday, they'll put a bow on his career, not only as a Bill, but as a football player. And he's definitely going to be missed on the field, in the locker room. He was a team captain. And, senior players and leadership is hard to come by. And it already puts a bigger emphasis on getting Kyle back, keeping a guy like Lorenzo Alexander around, and hopefully younger guys like Micah Hyde really put the onus on leadership on their shoulders. Trey White looks like a guy he's cut from that cloth. So we'll see where that all goes. A lot of Bills other little tidbits this week. I had to obviously open with that. I'd be remiss if I didn't. It's just a sucky situation. Here we are, not even 3 weeks into the off season, and that's the lovely piece of news we get. Didn't even get to watch the Senior Bowl, and then following that will be the Combine. Following that will be, free agency, and it's all coming fast. I mean, it's all coming fast, but a lot of little Bills tidbits this week. First off, Bills dismissing the famously robust analytics department, as dubbed by Russ Brandon, and the famous the brand has been tarnished press conference, and I believe it was the 1st of January in 2013. The brand has been tarnished, and the robust analytics department that always seemed like window dressing. I don't know what its role was. I just know that it was there. It was run by a guy who was formerly at Xerox. Something of that. I think that's what it was. It wasn't a very big department. I think 4 to 5 people. It seemed it was geared more toward marketing and things of like that nature, and it's been dismissed by Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. Is that department going to be reshaped? Is it going to just be, completely phased out? Not even phased out, eliminated? I don't know. But we'll see where that situation. I'm sure we'll hear something. It was done pretty quickly. It kind of just came out. Tim Graham reported it, and it kind of just went, and it was wasn't met with much fanfare in terms of negative or positive. It was just kind of, and I think most fans' attention, this is prior to Wood, obviously, was focused on the Senior Bowl, where the Bills have been linked with a couple of quarterbacks. Well, more than a couple of quarterbacks. They had Mike White said he had spoken to the Bills. Mason Rudolph said he's met with the Bills, spoken with them, met with them, and just today we heard that the Bills met extensively with Baker Mayfield, and to a lot of Bills fans' ears, that's probably music, because there's this tone. Maybe the Bills aren't interested in a guy like Mayfield because of his demeanor or the way he comports himself in a rest off the field. But they met with him, and when he was there, it took some heat the first day. But the kid, and I think for some coaches they might frown upon it. Some coaches may say, hey, the kid had his head in the right place. He wanted to be with his mother. She was in the hospital. She had a heart issue, and the kid decided to stay with his mother. Are you kidding me? People want to question? That's crazy. It's crazy that this kid's going to be drafted in the first round. People who talk smack about that. That's insane. But when he went to throw, McDermott got up from the bleachers and went field level to watch. That's little note. Little note. The quarterbacks. I mean, Josh Allen had a few, just like he did at Wyoming, had his wow throws, and then a lot of ooh, misses, routes on air. Again, these are practices with receivers they haven't worked with, system that they're just totally unfamiliar with under center. So we'll see how this all plays out. I mean, this is going to happen fast. I mean, the draft is 2 months away, and it happens like that, like that. So this will come to pass quick, and I think the thing teams wait to do before they set this. Nobody's board is set when these talking heads are getting up there saying about, oh, they're first on this board, that board. No, they're not. Everybody's got a general idea who the better players are. That's fine. But what if something crops up in a medical? What if a guy just doesn't check the boxes character-wise, and he has bad interviews, or he's just not football smart? He's just stupid on the grease board. He's not retaining information. You know, he played good at school A, B, or C, but in terms of him ingesting and regurgitating NFL verbiage, and he would be a very athletic player, but a very stupid one, and there's been plenty of those. Nothing that you need on your team. At least I'd want on the Bills. There's been tons of great athletes who've come through the NFL that could, in the Madden world, would be amazing, but in the real football world, they're dead weight, or they'll occasionally make a flash play off ability, and then most times they'll just get hung out to dry because of their inability to mentally process things. So that's why you see guys, all of a sudden you see them as that, oh, they're a surefire top 15, then all of a sudden you see them precipitously dropping. You're like, what the hell happened? That should tell you it was more a media, plug than anything else. Well, the media was saying this guy was here, where the NFL was saying, no, he isn't. He's really there. And they get it wrong too. I'm not saying they get it right. Of course, we've seen them get it wrong plenty of times, and us fans will be the first to tell them so. I know I have a couple of times. So we'll see. But a lot of things, arrests could change all that. Again, bad medicals can change that. So nobody's bored. We still have free agency. So nobody's board is set yet. I don't. That's such bullshit when you hear these fucking the Peter Schrager's of the world, and the who else is talks like that. Ian Rappaport, fucking another winner. All these guys. Nobody's telling them about their board, okay? You see how these guys operate in press conferences. They don't want to tell you what they ate for breakfast, but they're going to tell a national talking head about their board. Yeah. Okay. I just had to vent about that. Yep. New Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll has spoke. I digress, obviously, from that. And he spoke a couple of times. Well, I believe 3 times. He gave an interview to the Bills beat writers. Talked about, it was a lot of generalities and stuff like that. The same kind of he did on Bills.com. Same kind of he did with John Murphy today. A lot of generalities. One thing he did say to Chris Brown that did perk my ears up was in-game adjustments, and they can't happen at halftime because halftime might be too late. These things need to be happen series by series. They need to happen a lot more, they have to happen exponentially faster than halftime. You can't sit around for an hour plus watching something not work and then all of a sudden decide you're going to get 10, 15 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it is to figure it out. So I liked hearing that. Maybe he's more fastidious on D. He sounds like he is more fastidious on the details and the nuances, as opposed to a guy who really never ran it like Rick Dennison. And just today, Rick Dennison is hired as the Jets' division rival offensive line coach slash run game coordinator. So he is not only a rival to Bills fans, he is a real rival now. They can truly go all in on the guy because he didn't stop hearing it. I think it kind of started from around week. It started early on Dennison. I've never seen a guy take as much heat as he did as Bills offensive coordinator, right to the end. So, and new Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll sounds a lot more flexible to what he will do, who he'll do it with, how often he will do it or not do it. Seems like a guy, if something's working, he's going to just keep going to it till they prove they can stop it. And if something isn't working, he's not going to keep trying to, put a square peg in a round hole. So that's good to see. But again, got to watch and got to see it happen on the field. It's nice to talk about. It sounds sexy to hear and gets us all hot and bothered, but got to see it on the field. But yeah, it wasn't a shortage of Bills stuff this week. It really wasn't. Obviously, first being there's a void in the team now. That's all it is to me. It's a void in the team. Granted, they have cover with Ryan Groy, who filled in very well, exceptionally well for Eric Wood at the end of 16. Not to sound insensitive, I didn't see the team running wise miss a beat with Groy at center. Was their swing interior lineman on game days. They only had 7 active. So now he seems like he fits in. He's a guy that they aggressively tried to keep from the Rams, matched an offer sheet, and maybe they had wind of Eric's neck. And it got to a point where even with the procedure had been done, rehab, it wouldn't have mattered. He probably wouldn't have, or just wouldn't have passed a physical to play football. So it's, again, unfortunate. So Groy's now the next man up. So probably a whole new feel to that Bills offensive line. Been kind of getting the idea that the power run, a similar type of scheme we saw under Dennison run wise, will be back. Does that put John Miller back in the fold? I saw good things. I really didn't notice Jordan Mills this season. I honestly didn't. He did not stick out to me as a glaring weakness on the right side. So I'm not going to sit there and pound the table for his replacement as of right now. So if that can, Richie Incognito, his cap situation, might be a little too much for the Bills for his age at that position. Dawkins is going to be the left tackle. Everything we all know, and I've heard Cordy is gone, so that whole offensive line is going to be freshened up along with the defensive line. So the trenches are going to look a lot different for the Buffalo Bills in 2018, and probably at quarterback too. I have a very strong feeling that this quarterback will be taken in the first round, and they are going to probably sign a veteran along with keeping Nathan Peterman, given the situation that they went through this season, being kind of hamstrung a little bit. I mean, not that they hamstrung at starter, even if it was Peterman in the Chargers game, but hamstrung as a whole, that they just need more production, more dynamic play in the pass game that stems from the play at that position. So we're going to see some new faces at quarterback for the Bills in 2018, and hopefully, let's hope they're consistent, and let's hope that one is a face we see for a long time. Please. All right, Bills fans, it's Friday evening. It's almost 45 before 12. Hope you guys are all out having fun, enjoying yourselves, and being safe. having a great start to the new year, and unfortunate start for the Bills. But small silver lining that this happened so early in the offseason that the Bills really have a boatload of time to just absorb it, answer all the questions, and kind of just when the season starts, they're just kind of locked in on that as opposed to this happening. It always seemed like something this would happen at the end of training camp, or this would happen during the preseason, and the Bills would be left in scramble mode. So again, I know trying to find a positive in a crappy situation, but again, the biggest positive is his last game was as this Bill and as a member of a playoff team, and that's a great way for anybody who had been through all that stuff for this time to go away, to end it, unfortunately. All right, guys, you have a good one. Take care. Sorry for my rambling. But let me know what you guys think. The quarterbacks they met with, the if you've heard the new offensive coordinator say. Thoughts on Eric, what the line will look like offensively. Where else do they add? I think we know that they need another receiver or two, probably two. They just need to be more dynamic on the perimeter. They need to be more dynamic on the perimeter, and they just need a guy in the pass game that's just going to scare the shit out of people, both throwing and receiving. that's for lack of a better term. All right, Bills fans, you have a good one. Take care, and like I've said prior, just have a great weekend. Be safe.